Hello there, good afternoon. Thank you for joining us on the news desk of NTA Channel 5 Abuja at 1. My name is Tessie Omeri. The Federal Capital Territory Administration says the decision to initiate the National Social Investment Program (NSIP) by President Muhammadu Buhari as a strategy for enhancing social inclusion is a demonstration of his efforts to bring circle and hope to the poorest of the poor and vulnerable people. FCT Minister of State Ramatu Tijani Aliyu was speaking at the symbolic disbursement of grants to rural and semi-urban women in the Federal Capital Territory. Ifeanyi Ezumba reports.
These are some of the beneficiaries of the grant held at the Sepren Ekwensi Center for Art and Culture. The introduction of the socio-economic recovery programs and the social investment has no doubt contributed positively in Nigerians' quest to win the war against poverty, especially at a time when the country and the global community is striving to recover from the difficulties occasioned by the COVID-19 pandemic.
Total of 5,000 beneficiaries in the Federal Capital Territory. FCTA is convinced of its roles to provide the right environment for this to happen within the FCT, and is also committed to supporting my dear sister, the Honorable Minister.
Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, Hajia Sadia Omar Farouk, made known that the grant is expected to increase income and productive assets.
President Muhammadu Buhari has graciously approved expansion of the National Social Investment Program to touch more lives and lift more Nigerians above poverty and line.
The Social Development Secretariat is in line with the present administration's mandate on eliminating extreme poverty.
The Nigerian cultural diversity was again on display as the FCT cultural troupe spiced up the occasion with the unity dance. In Abuja, Ifeanyi Ezumba, NT News.
Figures from the Nigeria Center for Disease Control (NCDC) indicate 246 new cases of COVID-19 in the FCT, making the total number of confirmed cases to be 15,271, while active cases stands at 4,648, and the number of discharged now stands at 10,875. And sadly, 118 deaths have been recorded in the FCT.
The National Primary Healthcare Development Agency recently assured Nigerians of the availability of 3 ultra-cold chain equipment capable of storing 400,000 doses of the COVID-19 vaccine at +2 to +3 degrees Celsius. While NAFDAC says it is ready to certify the vaccine before it will be administered. With all these assurances, it was still a case of different strokes for different folks.
To me, that they are drugs, I'm not sure I'm going to take it. Because one, where they are dying in hundreds, they are yet to take the drugs. Is it we now that have the atmosphere to resist this, that you want to come and give the drugs to? Give us our own agbo, give us our own traditional drugs. Look for anything from us and give to us. I will take.
I won't take the vaccine, even though they will bring the vaccine to Nigeria. Let the first give the big men first. We will observe them for 6 months with their children. Maybe they put the vaccine for them first. For 6 months, we will observe them first before, if the thing works, Nigeria will agree.
However, these respondents say they are ready to receive the vaccine for the good of all.
Is it anybody's fault? It's nobody's fault now. It's not the leader's fault. It's sickness that just came and it's other places. So why won't they take a vaccine? Our prayer is that God will help them to make the vaccine available.
Why not? I will take it now. Anybody that refuses to take the vaccine is in no negligent. You cannot compare Oyibo and Africa. Why? Because our body chemistry is different. The COVID-19 is real and it kills a lot of people.
If they want to die, let them die. If they want to survive, let them take it and survive. If there is any disease.
While Nigerians still await the delivery of the COVID-19 vaccine, public commentators say more sensitization is required to change some negative mindsets being generated in some quarters. Ifoma Ojinta, NTA News.
Now, despite the directive given to commercial taxi drivers not to carry more than 4 passengers as a way of preventing the spread of COVID-19, some motorists seem not to comply with the directives. Rosemary Mothling Bilal visited some motor parks for a situation report.
In the wake of the second wave of the COVID-19 pandemic and its variant, it is expected that people should be more careful. But that was not the case as some motor parks visited, as many vehicles do not observe social distancing.
I will tell you it's 50% of the passengers that wear masks. As you can see, watch everybody now. As you can see, watch. Because many people are not used to it. Many people complain about it. Many people said if they use it once, they won't use it, they must buy another one again. So that's why, not because of anything.
Increasing liter of the money of the liters of the fuel. We must to increase the prices, or the passenger no one pay the actual price is where he's supposed to pay.
Another issue of concern is that of face masks, as some passengers and drivers are seen without their face masks.
There is COVID-19. If we can really take precautions, it will be nice, because to avoid the spreading, you may not know who has or who doesn't have. So me, personally, I try to preserve myself, to protect myself from any eventuality, because you don't know who has or who does not have.
Therefore, authorities have continued to urge Nigerians on the need to adhere strictly on the safety protocols to prevent the spread of coronavirus. Rosemary Molteleng Bilal, NTA News.
Though FCT Ministerial Task Team on COVID-19 enforcement has warned school administrators to fully comply with the safety guidelines or face prosecution, Head Media Enlightenment of the tax team, Ikarata, gave the warning during the team's inspection of schools after resumption to ensure compliance. Shuaibu Onoze Yakubu tells us more.
One of the conditions given by the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 for the reopening of schools is for the schools to abide by the established safety protocols. It is against this backdrop that the FCT Ministerial Task Team on COVID-19 enforcement visited some schools in the territory to ensure compliance after resumption. The task team spokesman, Ikaru Atta, frowned at a situation where students are complying with the safety protocols, but the teachers and other staff are not.
The compliance level by the students and the pupils are very high in the FCT, very encouraging. But most pathetic and very sadly is the fact that teachers, some school workers, and some other persons around the school community, like the security men and some other cleaners, don't put on face masks. They believe that the face masks and the COVID-19 protocols are strictly for the students. And we felt really, really very sad about this.
He further says that the tax team will not hesitate to prosecute anyone who violates the established guidelines on COVID-19.
We'll come again, anybody default again, we'll focus on the teachers. When we carry teachers in their large number to the court and they get conviction, then they will sit off. But for the students, they are very, very much in compliance.
Schools visited include government secondary schools Garki, Wuse and Tudunwada, as well as some primary schools within the nation's capital. Shuaibu Onoze Yakubu, NTA News.
Adequate COVID-19 safety measures have been put in place by the Nasarawa State University KEFI as students and staff resume for the continuation of academic activities after 10 months of closure, occasioned by ASU strike and outbreak of COVID-19 pandemic. Suleiman Ove Musa reports.
For 10 months, academic activities have been grounded in public universities across the country due to ASU strike and the outbreak of COVID-19 pandemic, which necessitated the closure of schools and collapse of other economic activities. With the suspension of ASU strike and government approval for schools to reopen, Nasarawa State University Kefi slated Tuesday, 19 January 2021 for academic activities to resume with strict safety protocol for students and staff of the university to be protected from COVID-19.
If you're a student, if you're going to any class, they will have to take your temperature, they will have to ensure that you have a mask, you will also have to sanitize yourself, and then if you enter the class, we are making adequate provision for social distancing. If you also go into the hostel, we will make sure that you observe the same sets of protocol.
The Vice-Chancellor also cautioned violators of the safety guidelines, emphasizing sanctions on the lawbreakers. Although students have returned to campus, academic activities are yet to commence in earnest.
I pray that we can be able to do that.
We are pleading that they shouldn't embark on another strike.
It is hoped that economic activities of the university community will pick up soon. From Kefi, Suleiman Ove Musa, NTA News.
Non-executive officers in the workplace are usually in the minor population of manpower. Against this backdrop of the directive by the Presidential Task Force to workers on grade level 12 and below to work from home, how are the senior cadre or that is officials coping with the workload without their subordinates? Elias Onotu Yakubu in this special report brings to bear the new reality in public offices in the FCT.
Life is in phases and challenges are in sizes. But when they happen, how do individuals adjust to cope with them? This is what we'll be finding out from senior career officers in the face of the sit-at-home order by government to meet career civil servants in the workplace. The FCT Administration Secretariat provides the perfect scenery in sight. Ajayi Rotimi is a deputy director in the FCT who has had to cope with pressure of work by multitasking, even on weekends, to ensure that productivity thrives. And this is the story that has fast become the new reality at the public workplace since the outbreak of the pandemic.
It has increased our period of working. Some of us close by 8. We come to the office on Saturday. After church on Sunday, some of us will be here in order to meet up and be able to deliver service to the people of FCT.
And these were things that you don't do before now?
We don't normally do unless we have an urgent work to do. That's when we come to the office on Saturday or especially after service on Sunday.
Of course, there are a couple of junior essential service providers in these offices.
I do the best I can do, and thank God I have some other colleagues who are around, so we tend to do like division of labor amongst ourselves, just find a way to manage everything as best as we can.
The workload is more on us, that's just the thing, so we are doing more of what other people are meant to be doing. So,
what adjustments have the authorities brought to bear to enable workers cope with the new reality?
We are in digital world now. We embark on something that's going to happen. We stress ourselves, that's why we are here. We make sure that our senior officers are computer literate. The ones that are computer literate, we use them maximally to make sure that they do their own best to cushion the effect of the junior ones that are not in the office.
Like they say, when life gives you lemons, find a way to transform them into lemonades. And that is what Ajayi Rotimi and others like him have learned to help them cope with the pressure. Iliasu Notu Yakubu, NTA News.
You're watching the news at 1 on NTA Channel 5 Abuja. The news continues after this break.
Please cover your mouth with your bent elbow like this.
Auntie, cover my mouth for what? Corona don't go from Nigeria. I beg, Auntie, go disturb my life.
No. Coronavirus pandemic is not over. Don't relent in observing safety protocols and good hygiene. Frequent hand washing with soap and water for at least 20 seconds or use an alcohol-based hand sanitizer. Practice good respiratory etiquette, including covering your coughs and sneezes. Avoid close contact with a sick person. Cover your mouth and nose with a mask when around others. Clean and disinfect frequently touched surfaces.
You're absolutely right. Coronavirus is still with us.
Please, and remember, coronavirus pandemic is not over. Protect yourself and others to stay safe.
This message is brought to you by NTA Channel 5, Abuja, the Unity Station.
Thank you for staying with us. Leaders at all levels have been reminded of their responsibilities by putting the interest of the nation first. This came to the fore during the centenary celebration of First Baptist Church, Kefi, Nasarawa State. Suleiman Ove Musa reports.
Built in the ancient town of Kefi in 1920 by the Yoruba traders who mostly migrated from Ogbomoso in Oyo State, is the first church that was established in Kefi. The church is now celebrating its 100 years of service to God and humanity amidst praises and thanksgiving. National President, Christian Association of Nigeria, CAN, Reverend Samson Ayokunle, while giving God the glory for his faithfulness, goodness, and mercies, noted that the church is an institution that embraces and unites people in the direction of God.
We continue to speak to the ills of the society, urging those in political power to take responsibility.
Kefi has over the years surmounted all challenges that have uprooted the basis of so many communities in Nigeria today.
First Baptist Church Kefi is an epitome of evangelism, community service, and bridge builder.
Baptist mission in Kefi has not only fostered educational development in Kefi, but has produced numerous Kefi indigenous.
This is the time that we need to showcase total tolerance in order to bring our nation together.
After achieving this feat, the church is now more committed to spreading the gospel of God across all divides. From Kefi, Suleiman Ove Musa, NTA News.
And suspended by the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 due to the outbreak of the deadly coronavirus disease, the FCT Abuja Light Rail remains grounded, but expectations remain high among Abuja residents towards resumption of rail system as other services are gradually picking up, even in the face of the second wave of the COVID-19 pandemic. Rosemary Mortelen Bilal tells us more.
Commonly known as Abuja Light Rail, is a light rail transport system in the FCT, which is the first rapid transport system in the country and in West Africa, and the second such system in sub-Saharan Africa. The Abuja metro stations are an addition to the city transport system, linking the city center with the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, among others, which also create access to the Idu industrial layout.
Being able to get the light rails up and running is something that I feel will be something that's quite good for Nigerians. It gets you to town, it's easier to access for just about everybody.
The train services we learned were suspended to curb the spread of COVID-19, a situation that has left passengers and users begging for a return to a status quo to fast-track accessibility to the Abuja Industrial District for ease of business and rapid industrialization of the nation's capital.
This is where I work, and people usually come, they'll ask for the train, and the train is not moving from here. They have to go to Idu railway station. Yeah, and some of them have been complaining, why is the train not moving up to now? I told them, we don't know what's happening.
It was useful, very useful. It would have been nice at least because of this COVID and whatsoever. It would have been assisted.
Conceived with the intent to ease the flow of traffic in the nation's capital, in and outs for air travelers, the light rail, since it was inaugurated, has not been able to give to the targeted objectives. The Abuja Light Rail, with the mission of being the milestone of a new Abuja city transport system, made possible by the federal government, in line with its plan of making the capital center a media city, is suffering setback, though efforts to speak with the management of the FCT Transport Secretariat is yet to yield results. Rosemary Molteleng Bilal, NTA News.
According to Nigerian Communications Commission (NCC), the deadline for SIM integration with valid national identity numbers remains 19th of February, making it imperative for service providers and subscribers to get the process done to avoid penalties that comes with non-compliance to government directives. In this report, Wofai Ibo gives an update of the current situation surrounding the process from offices of service providers in the FCT.
The process, which appears seamless for some subscribers, turns out an ordeal for others, as it is not just integration of SIM with valid national identity number (NIN) that subscribers have to deal with lately, as fear of inability of successful transactions looms.
Like we have been coming here for the past 1 week now just to get my line